Hi, I'm Nat.
And I'm Guy. And Will Smith's absolute cringe new music video trying to save his career. I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, initially I showed it to you.
Yeah, and I kind of ignored it, but he keeps popping up like he's really trying to come back from the dead here.
Yes.
That being said, we might cut it a little bit short tonight. Our dog is having some health issues. She's a lot of the time having health issues, but especially right now. So we got to kind of monitor her. She's kind of shaking and things like that. Okay, let's go into the first story, and that is
Will Smith being cringy. Yes. We can't really play it, but we can do like a little bit.
But I want to talk about some of the visuals as well. So we'll play it without music. You can play just a snippet of the sound, and then we'll go to the visuals.
So I'll play when it starts and then go look for it. It's called I Like Pretty Girls, I think. At least it looks like that's what it's called.
I like pretty girls.
Yeah, and then I can't continue.
And now just play it without the sound. And it's really weird because he's this miniature man, and this is like feminism embodied, but weirdly, the lyrics.
Then, from what I remember, it goes like, I like lemon, strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, all of them. Give me all the girls, something like that. I didn't super pay attention, but yes. It's pretty cringy.
Everybody knows he's gay at this point. He might as well just lean into it and accept that fact. I think he's having a problem because they really put him up for decades as the epitome of black masculinity and things like that. So the fact that his real identity's kind of come out, maybe he should just rebuke Hollywood and kind of do his own thing on YouTube, embrace the fact that he's either gay, bisexual, or whatever he is, but he doesn't like girls like in this video, that's for sure.
Like, it sounds like a cry to block out everything else and like, no, I swear I do like pretty girls. Really, look, I'm dancing around on them.
Yeah, we can see who you're married to. You like bald girls. Now, that being said,
still married to.
He, like, whoever's advising him on his career is not doing him any favors.
Or his love life.
No.
Honestly.
And he's very manufactured. And especially in modern media and things like that, people don't want over-manufactured products. This is extremely over-manufactured.
Yes. And cringy at the same time.
Yeah.
But then you also had something about London.
What do you mean?
That apparently he was...
Oh, yeah, there's a secondary clip. Did you get the secondary clip?
Yes. So 56-year-old Will Smith randomly takes to the streets of London to perform his new song and is joined by Rita Ora.
And I'm wondering how did all these people gather? What were they there for? Because I doubt that it was Will Smith.
Maybe, I don't know.
Or maybe he's big in...
Because there's speakers there and stuff.
Maybe he's big on the international scene. In America, they've had enough of him.
Yeah. Should I... can we play it? No, because the track comes on, doesn't it?
No, I think without the music, I don't know.
Okay,
try to play it a little bit.
There's music,
let's see what it is.
I'm investing, spend it on you.
Yeah. Also, those dance moves aren't helping him.
And some girl that I don't even know who she was there. I guess
Rita
she's
Ora.
famous.
Yeah.
Do you know who she is?
There's a singer. British singer, I believe.
There she is now with the sunglasses in the background.
Oh. Oh, there. Yeah.
Okay, you play it now? And he says, oh, I just talk about pretty girls, and then they show up. The whole thing is just manufactured, and she doesn't look pretty to me. So, like,
I mean, she's not ugly, but
here she is. Look at her face.
Well, there's new fashion and this new way of looking I don't like so much. Again, I'm wearing a muumuu, so.
A muumuu? That's not a muumuu. That's a sweater.
A sweater that looks like a muumuu.
Well.
Essentially.
Okay, what were you saying? Oh, yeah, you were asking me why I was mooing earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, when I think, sometimes
he does
to myself.
He makes sounds. So
and I have debates in my head about different talking points about subject matters to try to work them out.
All I'll hear is, So it's just kind of weird if like the house is that quiet and then he starts mooing.
And I don't realize I'm doing it.
No, he doesn't.
Okay, let's go into the next story. And we kind of talk about this issue a lot, but let's let somebody else talk about it. Maybe we'll put it a little bit more clearly, and then I'll talk about it after she's done.
So from Wall Street Apes, should I just play it?
Yeah.
Okay. And Bethany Renea, I guess.
Did you know that there are 22 states in the United States of America that have less than 3 million people in population total? Did you also know that in the state of California, there are 2.7 million illegal immigrants? Are you awake yet? That means congressionally and electoral college-wise, California, their illegals have as much say as 22 other states. Are you awake yet?
And this is kind of what we were saying, that if all the illegals were deported from the United States today, the Democrats would have 27 less electoral seats. Over the last couple of decades, they've really been trying to shift the balance of power in order to get more electoral college votes. They also had kind of thought these illegal immigrants would vote for them. That part of the plan's kind of backfiring, but they still do hold a lot of electoral college votes, which they shouldn't have, which is an unfair balance of power when you go to the national election and things like this.
And those are the bits that people don't really want to talk about or want you talking about maybe there was an actual plan behind all of this, flooding. And again, we continue to say, but we're live streaming from Mexico City. I'm Mexican, etc. And it's not about, just the emotional play that people are always using to make the argument, but also looking at the hard facts and the hard data.
Yeah, and maybe I'll talk about it more when we get into Hamas and things. Why don't we go into the next article? Because I'm going to connect Mexico to a lot of it.
Okay, so from LBC, apparently humans may be contributing to global warming by breathing, study finds.
Yeah, and this is an older article, but it popped up on my X, and I was like, that can't be real. I thought it was it was a total meme. It was not a meme. I looked up the article. Why don't we read some of the article? This is what they're trying to feed you about cows as well, or not feed you cows.
Yeah, and this is a bit older, but still, I mean.
Like, this is where they're going with it.
So
we need to depopulate the world.
So apparently, exhaled human breath can contain small, elevated concentrations of methane and nitrous oxide, both of which contribute to global warming. A study published in the PLOS journal found last week. There's also a huge problem with journals and what is allowed to be published and the types of studies that actually are allowed to be published and the ones that aren't. There's huge gatekeepers.
The fact that they were able to connect cows to global warming is insane. I understand, scientifically it may have an impact, but the fact that you're going to call cows and tell people they can't eat meat because of that fact, it's one step away from saying we need to call humans.
So according to the study, the methane and nitrous oxide exhaled by humans make up around 0.1% of UK's emissions. This is in addition to the carbon dioxide the humans exhale. The study added it involved 104 adults from the UK. We report only emissions in breath in this study, and flat-chest emissions are likely to increase these values significantly, though no literature characterizes these emissions for people in the UK. So,
and now they want to fat people are killing the world more because they have more flatulence. They're gonna say some crazy stuff like that. Oh, we need to have carbon tax. Fat people get more carbon tax. Like, this stuff is absolutely ridiculous.
Yes.
The amount of propaganda they're putting on the people about cows, human beings. It's like.
And the cow thing, I mean, it's also been disproven by other scientists, but those studies are never highlighted. And the positive effects of farming sustainably and responsibly, of course, are actually positive on the planet as a whole and on emissions. But they never want to bring those studies up.
And for the Rumble articles, did you grab any of those?
Are you in BLE? Yes.
Oh, you did? Okay, perfect. Because we'll just talk about one or two of them before we do go. Okay, let's go into this WNBA story. And I had this morning, but hopefully more people kind of pick up on this.
Okay. So you want me to skip to?
Yeah.
Okay. So from...
Oh, I forgot that there's two other ones. But let's go with this one. We'll go back.
So from Dom Lucra, WNBA star Kelsey Plum told fans that were asking for autographs outside her hotel that they were turning her off by waiting for her.
They weren't trying to turn her on. They were simply waiting there like respectable fans with their playing cards asking for an autograph. The fact that NBA has any fans at all is remarkable. year after year, the league loses money. They don't make money. They lose tens of millions of dollars. It's completely subsidized by the NBA. The NBA is trying to get female fans to come over to the NBA. They use the WNBA as an advertising platform for that, and it's not working very well. Caitlin Clark is the one exception to the WNBA, and they are treating her like a doormat.
Yeah.
So let's play this, then we'll talk about it a little bit.
The bus was right here.
Yeah.
Don't y'all find that kind of weird? Low-key? Like low-key, come on.
A little, but
Okay.
I'm
really turned off right now.
I'm just a fan though.
I know, I appreciate that.
You signed one? You put my name on
signed
it.
one.
Awesome.
I signed one.
Let's try to get you on that one. Keep killing it this year. Appreciate that.
Whichever one.
So I'll sign one.
The fan was so nice. Like the league needs to have like a talk with their players that fans is what kind of makes the league. And we talked about this on our morning show. It's not just WNBA players. It's this new generation of Hollywood celebrities, music celebrities, athletes. They just don't have respect for their fans or their country.
Or their careers.
Yeah.
I mean, as what happened also with, for example, Rachel Zegler, where she essentially destroyed everything, imploded, and kind of still doesn't understand what happened, and that she was mostly at fault for that.
Yeah.
And Disney for not telling her to shut up.
Okay, let's get into the next story here. And I believe it was No Kings 2.0, July 4th.
Yes, so get ready for it. No Kings 2.0 national protest, July 4th, 2025, independence without tyranny. This July, 4th of July, we're reclaiming America's promise, freedom for all, justice for all, no kings for all citizens.
So they're trying to build a narrative of a violence here, but they don't want to be the ones responsible for the violence. They want to be able to choreograph that violence. And the last protest they had, they got violent and a lot of the nation turned against them. So what they're trying to do this time is a lot more strategic. Let's put it on a national patriotic holiday where families and patriots will be out. They'll be drinking. Let's bring No Kings protest to their face. So there'll be a clash, and then we'll be able to spin it in the mainstream media. The fact that they're putting the protests on this day is just asking for a clash between protesters.
And it's also funny, like, that they're saying that they're looking for freedom for all, justice for all. They keep talking about justice, justice, justice. Well, without rules and without following the Constitution, which a lot of people say is not happening right now, but it actually is. Most of the deportations are done through due process that actually happened beforehand, and they had deportation orders because they either didn't show up to their initial court dates, and that immediately almost gives you like a deportation order because you didn't show up. Sometimes they're like a year away or more than 1 year away. And also I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah, I thought you were falling apart there. You started speaking really fast. I was like, I don't think she knows what she's saying right now.
The Constitution. That the rules that make up a country, like the United States, still have to be followed if you want to find justice. That is what justice is about.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to say, I think.
And, well, we'll move on to the next story just because of the dog here.
Yes. Okay. You had this, which I had no idea what it was.
Yeah, and this guy was heading up the one of the state senates for the last 7.5 years. There was rumors of major corruption and things like this. So they are starting to make arrests, prosecutions, and sentencing of some of the deep state. It's going to take a while, but it's only 100 days in, so this is good to see. Now, although I don't agree with Trump on the Iraq or the Iran war in any way, shape, or form, we've talked about it kind of vocally. I do like a lot of the other things he's doing. If he continues on the path he is with the Iranian war, I will stop supporting him overall, though. Okay, let's play that clip. Yep.
That big breaking news. The longest serving Speaker of the House in American history, Mike Madigan, was sentenced to prison today. Madigan received 7.5 years and a $2.5 million fine for corruption. Federal Judge John Blakey said that Madigan's own testimony during his trial was littered with lies. It's a spectacular fall from his powerful perch. And like so many of his predecessors in Illinois public office, it was corruption that will title the final chapter of that story.
Mr. Madigan, is there
Mike Madigan, who spent 36 years as the Illinois Speaker of the House, now heads to prison for 7.5 years.
For a person of
Yeah, and I'm glad to see this. He is a lot older, so 7.5 years is worth a lot more years at that age. So, and hopefully they keep going with these prosecutions. Like, this is just one, and Kash Patel said he was going to go after a lot more than just this.
Yes.
So we'll kind of wait to see what happens.
And weeding it out. Okay, so jumping around to Canada Day Parade, which Canada Day is July 1st, which is essentially Canada's independence-ish day, in Montreal, canceled for second consecutive year. This is coming from CTV News, which is Canadian state media.
Yeah, and this was commonplace when we were in Canada. On Canada Day, they wouldn't cancel all of them because they want to kind of control the media. So if they cancel Canada Day across Canada, then that will make international news.
Yeah.
If they cancel it in most major cities or a lot of major cities and cancel celebrations, then they're able to really control the narrative internationally. They've been slowly replacing Canada Day with Pride Month. So Pride used to have a day in Canada, and then it became a month, and then a season.
Yeah.
And they kind of really try to overshadow that for this month's celebrations in Canada. So they've been canceling Canada Day and replacing it with Pride events and things like that.
Yeah, it's all of summer, essentially. Do you want me to read into it or
Yeah,
not?
read a little bit. I know we know about it, but maybe the audience doesn't know about it so much.
Yes. So the Canada Day Parade has been canceled for a second year in a row, with the organizers citing ongoing planning disruptions and the city's workers' strikes as reasons behind the decision. In a media release, the parade's main organizer, Nicholas Cohen, also pointed to strained relations with the City of Montreal departments as another factor. Last year, Cohen canceled the event, saying there was too much red tape when dealing with the city. However, at the time, the City of Montreal said they had never received a request for permit. Canada Day Parade began in 1977 and welcomed thousands of spectators. And a lot of the things that I don't even think that this article is going to touch on is that the reasoning why, at least at the beginning, they were canceling a lot of these parades was because of the whole colonialist, anti-colonialist narrative, saying that celebrating Canada Day, they couldn't celebrate it because there's no pride in having stolen land.
Let's pause right there for a minute. If you don't know, this kind of started with land acknowledgements.
Yes.
And nobody really seen the harm in land acknowledgements. But as that grew and it became nationally acceptable, and just like before you did anything in Canada, you were expected to give a land acknowledgement at elementary schools, concerts, any kind of public event, any kind of televised event. So this was ingrained in people like propaganda. Then they started taking parts of Canada away and giving it back to tribes and things like that. Now they're trying to do that with California. They want to give it back to Mexico. So they're doing a very
First
similar
Nations
thing
tribes.
there. But they also were able to erase Canada Day through the land acknowledgements and things like that.
Yeah, and they always start the land acknowledgements, not only in Canada, but in Australia, and there's a bunch of other places where they're doing them. It always starts with, we acknowledge we are standing today on the unceded territories. So unceded, meaning they didn't give them to the people now standing there. And it's essentially just, white woke progressives going like this to themselves, feeling
There's bloody
better about
there's
themselves.
bloody wars fought over borders. They're kind of set. Unless you want to fight more wars over borders, let's just deal with where they're at today, because we can go back in history and then give it to whoever was there, and then we can keep going back in history, and then there was somebody before them. And borders, we're at a place in history where we're starting to fight over borders and different things like this all over again. And this isn't going to help. It's only going to increase tensions.
Yes.
Okay, let's go into the next Canadian article as well.
So Bill C-5 gives Ottawa the power to override Alberta and Saskatchewan. This is in unity, it's control. If this passes, provincial voices won't matter anymore, especially important given the whole Alberta separatist movement.
Yeah, so on a lot of ways, they want Canadian nationalism to take away tariffs between provinces. And yes, that will be good for the economy, but it would also give the federal government massive authoritarian control over these provinces for not only oil projects, but a lot of things. And it will take the sovereignty of the provinces away. I'm guessing, like right now, they're trying to flood Alberta with legal immigrants so they can change the voting block before there's a separatist vote. We showed those numbers yesterday. Over 20,000 legal immigrants in the first quarter alone. So that's going to majorly start changing the voter block there.
Do you want me to play?
Yeah, let's play it a little bit. And this is an independent creator from Alberta. Yeah.
A bill that is laser focused on building a stronger, more competitive, and a more resilient Canadian economy that works for all Canadians.
This isn't unity. This is control. And Bill C-5 moves us closer to a system we were always told we'd never see in Canada. They call it the One Canadian Economy Act, but what it really does is give Ottawa the power to override your province, your premier, your community, without your voice. Alberta and Saskatchewan are standing up, but if this bill passes, their stand means nothing. The feds will decide what gets built, what gets blocked, and where your resources go. No debate, no local control, just central planners calling the shots.
That's good. And we talked about maybe a month ago how much Justin Trudeau was giving to immigrants coming into Canada. And this was $81,000 tax-free money. It was an insane amount of money. It was like $200 and somewhat a day. I think $76 or right around there. Carney's continuing that program at $61,000, so it's $20,000 less, but it's a ton of money. I think it's $234 under Carney. So it's going to be interesting how these immigrants vote, especially for a separatist movement. I used to work a lot of different jobs, especially minimum wage jobs. So I worked with a lot of immigrants within Canada, and a lot of them were disenfranchised on the false Canadian dream that they were given. That being said, they either wanted to go back to their own country or they wanted to somehow try to get into America so they can start their own business and really have the dream that was kind of sold as Canada. They still view America as having that dream of an independent business, owning a house and things like that. So if the separatist vote does happen in Alberta, there's a chance that new immigrants to Canada may vote to actually separate, because a lot of them are waking up really quick. I remember in particular, there was 4 or 5 people I was working with at the Vancouver Art Gallery, and they had only been there maybe 6 months, and they all had woken up like quick. Usually it takes 2 to 3 years for an immigrant to wake up and be disenfranchised with what was going on in Canada. By the time I left, immigrants were waking up really quick, and they realized it was a lie they were sold, and they no longer wanted to be there.
And it was impossible to live there as well. I mean, it didn't take me 13 years that I was there. I wanted to leave much sooner, but then because of all of the other issues and the cost of living, et cetera, that comes with living in Canada, it also kind of drew out my leaving. And I think it happens to a lot of people as well, that they're just having to save up money that they already spent trying to get to Canada now to leave it.
Yeah, and let's go into the first article here.
So from Benny Johnson, breaking this morning, I believe, at least for us, a 5.2 magnitude earthquake struck Iran.
Yeah, and this is a small earthquake. I just wanted to kind of bring it up while we're on YouTube, to bring up the fact of the 2 narratives that are kind of happening with Iran right now. Everybody's aware of the main narrative of, oh, they want to go to war with Iran. Do they want to drop bunker buster bombs, which I said wasn't going to be plausible and it wasn't going to work. The whole mainstream media is now waking up to the fact that that bomb's not going to work. And now they're saying they have to launch a nuclear bomb after a bunker buster bomb in order to get rid of this nuclear facility. Trump is kind of saying he's going to wait a couple of weeks now. We don't know if he's actually going to wait. But that being said, there's a sub-narrative or a second narrative, and that might be the actual target. And I've kind of been talking about how he's trying to line up the dominoes. If he would have went directly at the second target and tried to get the American people on his side with that, nobody would have supported him. And that second target could possibly be Mexico. I pay a lot of attention to the news and things like this, and you're saying, what are you talking about? Mexico's the target, not Iran. If you watch a lot of mainstream media, they're talking about Iran is building tunnels underneath the U.S. border to help cartel members and things like this. Also, the narrative of Mexico is emerging because the American people, from a grassroots foundation, is saying we don't want to go to war with Iran. We don't want another forever war. We already seen how that kind of works. Our major threat are the cartels in Mexico. Now, this debate is popping up online all over the place. There's major conversation. There's a major push from the American public to actually go after Mexico. And not that I think that Trump actually wants to come into Mexico. I think he wants to pressure the Mexican government to allow the American military in through them. And if this Iranian thing dies down in quick fashion, and maybe this whole thing was just to put pressure on Iran to get the best negotiating leverage they can, and then we'll see it die down. And if that is the case, you really need to look at what's going on in Mexico right now, because the narrative has completely shifted on Mexico with the American people because of what's happened in Iran. It was really surprising to me. I am tuned in to alternative media, mainstream media, and the second narrative that has emerged from this Iranian war is we don't want another forever war. We want to protect our own borders, and the biggest threat to the U.S. border are the Mexican cartels. Now, we live in Mexico. I don't want to see America come in here. This is why I'm kind of warning of this narrative, so people can actually see
past it,
what's kind of happening and how America has been lining up the dominoes for the last few years. And they haven't been able to line it up. Anytime they talk about coming into Mexico or allowing the military to come in through the Mexican government, nobody really got behind it. Mm-hmm. But ever since this thing happened in Iran, the narrative has completely shifted on Mexico, and nobody's paying attention to that specific narrative.
And especially after the whole LA protests, I'll call them, they weren't just protests, and the No King's Day, et cetera, that has kind of been brewing in the background.
Well, it also brings up that whole entire dialogue. Mm-hmm. So the exiting of illegal immigrants from the States, these protests in the States, brings the Mexican dialogue into the narrative at the same time the Iran thing is in the narrative, and that's how the two were kind of brought together. People are, when I say people, I say American citizens, independent media, even mainstream media, are putting the two things together and say, this is our real threat, not Iran.
Yeah.
Iran is the Israeli threat, not the American threat. The cartels are a threat to America. That's the narrative that's going on. That's the debate that's happening. I'm kind of bringing this to the attention of our audience, just so you know. So if this narrative does emerge and they start taking action on it, this didn't come out of nowhere. Yeah. We've been kind of talking about this for quite a little while right now, but they haven't been able to garner grassroots American support until this Iranian thing happened.
Yeah.
Okay, that's enough of that. I just wanted to kind of say it on camera, so if it starts to happen, I can bring it back up.
Yes, and Walker says the tremors here in El Salvador are super common, but they say they are because of the bombs Israel is dropping on Iran. But that's why there's earthquakes.
Yeah,
I mean, it could be.
That would make sense. And let's just talk about something else here, because this is insane. I played the educational video on the bunker busting bomb the other day. And I said, that thing is not going to work. It's their nuclear facility is under a mountain. It only has a 350-foot range going down. If it hits granite or reinforced concrete, it won't go past that point. So a bunker busting bomb's not going to work. And the mainstream media, everybody for the past week has been saying, oh, this is a strategic strike with a bunker busting bomb. Today I woke up, the entire narrative shifted to what I've been saying for the past week, only they went a step further. They're saying, oh, it still will work. It will penetrate enough of the mountain where we can drop a nuke after the bunker busting bomb, and it will blow up not only the mountain, but everything underneath of it. This is crazy to me. Now, if you know Donald Trump, which I followed him for a long time, he is completely against nuclear bombs, but you can see the path they're trying to bring him down. They had already got him to accept the idea of a bunker-busting bomb upon a nuclear facility in Iran. And when he says, well, I'm not willing to use a nuclear bomb now, that what their debate point is going to be is you're already going to drop a bomb into a nuclear facility, so there was already going to be nuclear waste there. It's not going to make a difference if it's an actual nuclear bomb. At least we're going to destroy the facility. That's the path they're trying to walk him down. vehemently against any nuclear weapon use. So hopefully he still is. I know Tucker Carlson and Steve Bannon recently had talks with him, so at least he is listening to the people that are against this Iranian war. That being said, Steve Bannon came out with some statements today saying MAGA would support him if he does go into Iran.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he's just trying to rally the base so Trump can make a deal with Iran.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, like, if they actually go into Iran and Steve Bannon does support Trump, I'll not support Steve Bannon either.
Yeah.
Because he was one of the best vocal opponents of going to war with Iran.
Mm-hmm.
And me saying I don't want war with Iran is not saying I support Iran in any way, shape, or form.
No.
I'm just saying Israel needs to deal with it. That's their issue, just like Russia and Ukraine is their issue.
Yeah,
if Europe wants to get involved, that's their region. So
and get out of wars. There's the general sentiment. And Rafa says, hi Rafa. I just finished watching How to Train Your Dragon, maybe the best live action remake ever.
Oh, see, that's what I've been saying. A lot of people are liking it. So,
well, I mean, we've seen so many bad ones that.
Well, Lilo and Stitch was okay recently as well.
Yeah, although a lot of people didn't like it, but. So we're going over to RUMBLE. If you see me looking over there, it's because I'm monitoring our dog, who's not doing so great right now.
Why don't we just finish here because the dog's not doing well.
Okay.
So I'll just finish the articles here really quick. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean,
we're not going to go over to
RUMBLE
tonight just because our dog is not doing well and we're already kind of over time and she's shaking over there. So
yes. So from Mediaite, White House denies Trump ruled out using a tactical nuke on Iran. Fox's Heinrich reports.
Yeah. So I actually heard the rumors of a nuke right when this war broke out, and tactically, Iran is not a country you're going to invade. It's like a porcupine because it's so mountainous. It's going to be extremely hard to control that country. It's going to be an air war with missiles. That being said, air warfare, the United States and Israel are at a distinct disadvantage because of the way they manufacture missiles. Their manufacturing methods are overpriced because it's a capitalistic military program that they have. They try to turn a profit. The way Russia, China, and Iran run their nuclear or their missile facilities and manufacturing is much different. They try to not have the best weapon, but an effective weapon that's extremely cheap to manufacture. So it's a lot different. That being said, even if you do use nuclear weapons within Iran, it's not going to be like what happened in Japan. What happened in Japan was everything was made of wood, so everything burned. Iran is a absolutely massive country filled with mountains. Even if you drop a nuclear bomb, it's only going to really have nuclear radiation and a reaction in a small area of all of Iran. So I think Iran is really going to resist, and I don't think it's going to work. I say stay out of this thing. Right now, it looks like they're escalating. I hope they're escalating to try to put extreme pressure on Iran for the best deal that they can get. Okay. Let's go into the next. All these stories were supposed to be on Rumble, so they're Iranian stories.
Yes. So this, you were kind of already talking about it, but MAGA firebrand Steve Bannon predicts most supporters will rally behind Trump if the U.S. gets involved in the Israel-Iran war.
No, and I think a large portion of MAGA will rally around the Iranian war if Trump loses his life. Let's just say it like that. I'll think it's a false flag if that happens, and I think a lot of other people will too, but I think the majority of the country, only if that action happened would they really rally around it. They need a major event, and even taking down some buildings like 9/11, I don't think people will be sold on it because there's so many theories around 9/11 now and so much new footage coming out. People may not buy it. It would have to be the ending of Trump to really rally the United States to get behind that war. And Steve Bannon, Like, he's starting to change his tune. I hope he knows something I don't, and I hope they're really just trying to put pressure on them to negotiate. Because up to this point, Trump hasn't done much. He's talked a really good game. He's readied the U.S. military. He put some aircraft carriers over there to shoot missiles out of the sky to protect Israel, but he hasn't taken any extremely aggressive action yet. So there's still an off ramp, and Iran hasn't hit any U.S. facilities. Therefore, there is an off ramp and a chance for negotiations. Okay, let's go into. We have 2 more stories left here.
One more.
Oh, one more.
Hold on. There we are. Former General of the U.S. Army Wesley Clark on the military strategy after the 9/11 attacks. We're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years: Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing it off with Iran.
Yeah, and there was CIA documents released on this. So this is a confirmed program of destabilization and regime change in the region. They haven't had regime change in necessarily all these countries, but all the major ones they have, and the other ones they have destabilized to the point they can easily install who they want. The main target of the entire thing is Iran. It's the only country left in that region that's not destabilized. They have a very technologically advanced society. They have a very fairly high quality of life within that country. So, and they've had the same regime over there for a long time. Iran is the major player within that region. It's them and Saudi Arabia. And that's why a lot of people believe the trillions of dollars Saudi Arabia gave the U.S. for AI investment was really an investment in this military conflict with Iran, possibly.
You want me to play it?
Yeah, we can play it.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me. And one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, No. He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
And we've talked about how many wars Israel is currently in. They're in about 4 major conflicts. So Tim Pool brought up an amazing point today. It was not on his main show. It was on his debate show. So he had a Israel debater and a non-interventionalist, I would say, I guess. They were debating, but Tim Pool brought up the Israel debater was just spewing propaganda. She said 80% of the people in Iran would support an invasion of their country by Israel, which is just crazy. You're bombing their country. You don't have 80% support. Maybe, okay, 10%, I can believe that, because even in the United States, if China invaded, you would have some crazy liberals talking about save us. That being said, they came up with the theory that maybe Israel is starting all these wars right now because this is their last opportunity while they still have American support. American support is fading, and they brought up the statistics. 71% of Democrats are against supporting Israel. 50% of Republicans are against supporting Israel. Now, that in itself is not concerning, but when they broke down the age demographics of the support, that's where it was a major shift. all the support for Israel within those numbers are with the boomers and the older generation. Although as those people die off and the younger generation kind of take control of politics, it's off the charts how little support Israel actually had with the younger generation, whether that was Democrats or Republicans. The Republicans don't want to support Israel because they want to nationalize and be non-interventionists, and the Democrats don't want to support Israel just because they don't support Israel.
And Walker says, I don't think they'll use them. The same mechanisms in the USA don't allow them to use nukes again. I think we would see a coup d'etat in the USA.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to use them either. I think we'll see this weekend if there's some surprise attack, but I think Trump is trying to maximize his leverage to get the best negotiating deal he can. And if that's the case and this thing fizzles out and they get some kind of deal and Iran just disappears over the next few months and Israel takes care of it or does whatever they want to do, I would be very concerned about Mexico. Mm-hmm. If this thing with Iran continues to amp up, I don't think Mexico has anything to worry about, but
I mean, either way, it's
I'm
not
surprised how much this Mexican conversation is constantly being brought up in the media now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of people,
but not connecting
a lot of other people may not see it, but because I watch probably 8 hours of news a day, and I'm constantly scanning it throughout the day, I do see it, and I see it a lot. And it's concerning me because I live in Mexico. Mm-hmm. And I do like freedom through chaos. So as much as cartels might not be good, you do get freedom through chaos because of that component.
Well, and also like the corrupt government also, not just the cartels.
Yeah.
But Walker also says, hope your peg gets well soon, guys. Thank you. So do we. It's not the first time it's happened.
I think we're done for today.
And Walker also says, support from the U.S. is slowly declining. Interesting.
The what?
Support from the U.S. is slowly declining. Interesting.
For what?
Israel, you were saying.
Oh, for Israel, yeah. And yeah, that's just I was really shocked when I actually seen the numbers as well. And the girl that was on there trying to support Israel was shocked as well. And she didn't know what to say.
Because again, there's people that have the one narrative and don't even know or look elsewhere for information.
Yeah, because I knew the younger generation of MAGA and conservatives wants to nationalize, but I didn't know if they were asked the question, do they support Israel or not, what would be the answer? And the answer is they want to secure American borders. They don't want to fight in forever wars. So.
Yeah. So that's it for tonight. Have a great weekend. Stay safe out there. Jessica Ramirez says bye and hope your little dog gets better. Thank you so much as well. And we'll see you on Monday.
And if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so.
Yes, I always
really does help. We're trying to get to 200.
Yes.
Adios.
Thank you. Have a good night.